Bethesda is so incompetent, their microtransaction shops don't even work properly still. Gentlemen, welcome back to the #1 in the world, by a landslide in fact, a Bethesda hate channel on the internet. That's right, anything Bethesda related, anything Bethesda, and I will probably talk badly about it. It has gotten to the point where we can literally make a new original Bethesda bad video every single day because they do not stop with the poor decision making. So, grab yourself a drink, get comfortable, and let's see what Bethesda has failed this time.
Fallout 4's lead designer reckons it is the most replayable game in the series thanks to its interweaving quests.
You know what makes this easy? Do you want to know what actually makes my job easy? Pumping out at least one negative Bethesda video a day currently for the past month. It's the fact that everyone working at Bethesda is insane, probably. You have lead writers coming out and saying, oh no, the thing that no one liked and everyone hated, that's actually really good. Here's 0 reasons why that's true, but it's true, Chud. Fallout 4 lead director coming out and saying it's replayable. Yes, a settlement needs your help replayable. That's not actually gameplay. That is pain.
Yeah, those are comments coming from Emil, you know who this is.
Of
Great
course.
games are played and not made. So this is a point for the studio. This is one of our mottos at the studio.
Pagliarulo also says, at one point I gave a talk about that, and the slide for the talk is just a big bowl of spaghetti because that's what it felt like.
If you do not know, by the way, the stock from Emil Pagliarulo, one of the most delusional people, probably only next to Todd Howard, that works in Bethesda in a high position, sadly. Let me summarize it up. He literally made a speech to other developers saying, your game is bad anyway, so why even try? That's kind of the quick summarization, okay? And I'm not joking. That was literally it. That was literally the message that he wanted to say. Don't try. Players are not gonna like it anyway, so why even bother? Yes. Dude, I think if you say anything even close to that, I know, not even these words, but remotely close to that, you have kind of marked yourself as being blacklisted from the games industry, or honestly, any industry that requires creativity, interaction with other people. Oh, but this guy is a leading writer at Bethesda. You see why we never run out of things to talk about Bethesda? Because it's really bad.
All these threads and strings that are just a mess, and I have to believe that Emil has never played Fallout New Vegas because that's the only reasonable explanation for why he comes to this conclusion. Regardless, though, I didn't think we were going to be talking more Bethesda, at least before the end of the year, but here we are because Bethesda is back in the news for unfortunate reasons. It's not for Starfield. Starfield's still MIA. There's been rumors, we'll maybe talk about that soon, but there's nothing, Bethesda has had nothing to say about that. They're working in the dark on that game's 2.0 experience. We'll see if it delivers. I have questions, concerns about that, but yeah. Starfield's promised exciting things for 2025, still yet to materialize. It feels like we've been left to suffocate in space. And then there's also the Elder Scrolls.
There's probably oxygen in space if you ask Todd Howard.
Scrolls 6, this is Bethesda's main concentration these days, and Todd Howard just about 2 months ago confirmed that the game is still a long way off, probably pointing to a late 2027.
You know why it's a shadow drop? You know why Todd Howard is constantly talking about these shadow drops? Because there is some interest in Bethesda games still. Obviously. Obviously there is. I'm still interested in seeing what happens. But the trick is, everyone knows, pretty much at this point, everyone, that everything Bethesda does is bad. So, the shadow drops are their last resort, because even if you give, I don't know, a 2-hour embargo before release for the reviews, they're probably gonna be bad. People are probably gonna look at them and say, yeah, surprisingly, I can tell that Luke Steffens, Mr. Matty plays Skill Up and Extra Life and Joy Raptor are are lying about the game being good. Yeah, surprise, surprise. People are not dumb. Us consumers are not dumb. Wow, surprising. Wow, who would have expected?
And probably 2028 and maybe even beyond release date. We'll see what happens with that, but the expectations, the hype for that game is enormous. And that's another thing. I have serious doubts that Bethesda is going to be able to deliver on the expectations, the enormous expectations that have been built surrounding this game. But look, Todd Howard and company are talking about the Elder Scrolls 6. Todd just gave this update the other day on the YouTube channel, Any Austin, love that, but he said, the Elder Scrolls 6 most definitely has more trees than Skyrim, confirms Todd Howard. To non-Elder
Skyrim, unironically, probably had the perfect amount of trees, so that's not a good thing in my opinion, but hey.
Elder Scrolls fans, this may not seem like anything, but it's gotten some people that are really hopeful the next game takes place in Valenwood. Some hope, but I think this just points to the fact that this game's probably going to be multi-provinces. Probably High Rock and Hammerfell, which is...
No, it's Hammerfell. Bethesda is woke. Hammerfell is literally the excuse to make every character black and no one can complain about it. It's not because Hammerfell has a unique culture, landmarks, and all of that good stuff, because it's a really cool place with cool people. No, it's because Bethesda gets shoehorned in just every NPC black, and then they can say, "Oh, you chuds don't like this? Why do you not like this?" Yes, it's going to be the typical playbook, obviously.
Been my long-standing theory, and I think this even gives more credence to that belief. But at the very least right now, we're still talking Skyrim, because Skyrim shadow dropped a new update for Anniversary Edition update on Switch 2 with a free upgrade for Switch players. You know, this is supposed to be something that's applauded. Another shadow drop. They had one earlier this year, very successful. This one, though, has not gone down all that well. So Bethesda, as Bethesda does, they released their new little trailer right here. You can see the Skyrim Anniversary Edition official Nintendo Switch 2 gameplay launch trailer.
Oh, that slightly scared me.
I love how that's a selling point. Yes, we get the iconic music. It's just, I swear, they've been making these trailers for so many releases over the years, but that's pretty much it. You get the Anniversary Edition content, and
it doesn't work. It's broken. They literally found ways to destroy Skyrim, and this is on the Switch. They also did it on PC.
Even worse experience. We'll get to that in a second.
I'm not gonna lie, even the music doesn't actually get me excited anymore.
God, I love that soundtrack. I still to this day love the music. But yeah, this trailer right now, unfortunately, 3,000 dislikes to only about 1.5. And man, I was getting worried we're going to go 1 year without a Skyrim release. The meme will never die. Dragonboard, I'm tired, boss. Todd Howard said, everywhere. Relive the adventure for the 20th time on your 17th system. And while the jokes are mostly in line with that, just people exhausted of seeing Skyrim, it's also the fact that Skyrim on Switch 2 it's a buggy disaster because no Bethesda launch can go smoothly. It's never going to happen. And the fact that
of course it's never going to happen. We're talking about a company that doesn't have their microtransaction shop working for months now. Like there is literally no company more inept than that.
Keeps going this way. It still is absolutely unacceptable, but again, it's just become normalized that people do not care about this stuff with this company.
Wait, how were dragons ever a threat in Skyrim? How the fuck were dragons ever anything, honestly? They're literally too stupid to fly away when they're injured.
Skyrim on Switch 2 is 53 gigabytes, even more. I think the original is like 30 or so, or even less than that. Still locked to 30 FPS, and players report terrible input lag. Once again, it seems like Bethesda has screwed up updating one of its older RPGs. And yeah, it's noted here by Kotaku. The special edition version of Skyrim on PC is 12 gigabytes. Why it's 53... Optimization just not a thing at Bethesda, I guess. We have other articles summarizing.
Bro, we're not even at the release a game that works stage. We're still at the pre-beta stage. Ashes of Creation is currently looking at Bethesda and saying, wow, at least we're less of a scam than this. Star Citizen's looking at Bethesda and saying, at least we got out of the alpha.
Summarizing, Skyrim on Switch 2 shows fans are sick of buggy, basic Bethesda ports, but unfortunately, they just keep on delivering that. We also have viral Reddit threads like this on the Nintendo Switch subreddit saying, Skyrim Switch 2 is absolutely...
Okay, you know what actually pisses me off? It's not the fact that Bethesda is incompetent, the fact that they can't make anything proper, the fact that the bugs are gonna last forever at this rate. It's the fact that there's people who buy it and then they're like, Soy Pog! It doesn't work! But this new release doesn't work! Yes, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't. It's a Bethesda game. They can't even copy-paste the game properly. What do you mean you're surprised it doesn't work?
Terrible. If you have the physical game and Anniversary Edition DLC, you have to manually delete everything in the game icon, then re-download the base game without the Anniversary Edition DLC to access the free upgrade from the main in-game menu. Because it's not just an update like Hogwarts Legacy, you have to download the whole 53 gigs of data to play the game. Only good point is that you can remove your original Skyrim cartridge now and still play. And then here we get to the main issue. Input lag beyond playability, and I mean worse input lag than online.
Yeah, we literally saw this. It's 200 microseconds, so everything has basically a 1 second lag when you do something. It's insane.
Smash Bros here, and that's just crazy. A single player experience online Smash Bros. There's like a whole second between me flicking the stick and my character moving its head. I won't even speak about 30 FPS for a 2011 game in 2025 on a console capable of running Cyberpunk at 40 FPS. I'll just say that the frame pacing is not even stable, but the best part is my game crashing after less than 10 minutes. Pure Bethesda experience. And that is one thing. The comparisons do have to be made between other developers and Bethesda, especially in the RPG arena. Because yes,
every time I see Todd Howard, the first thing I notice is how short he is. I love the fact that it has gone to that point in my life.
Cyberpunk 2077, just put that into your mind, the graphical complexity of that experience in a game that...
You can tell that this woman right here probably needs a baby seat to see past the steering wheel, and Todd's still lower.
It came out in 2011. The fact that you can run Cyberpunk at a more stable experience on Switch 2 hardware, that's just honestly insane. And again, points to Bethesda just not knowing how to optimize these games. And maybe that, falls on their terribly aged, old, outdated engine. Now, we do have some gameplay. This is from Nintendo Life. And as you can see, I'll put some of the gameplay volume up. The clear difference you can see here, it's the graphical fidelity. The Switch versus Switch 2, it's quite clear that Bethesda's concentration was on making this visually appealing. Unfortunately, just performance was an...
Visually appealing? It's not, though. It's not really visually appealing.
I thought it seems in the development of this little free upgrade. Unfortunate, but maybe not too surprising with this company. But that really is the only thing that stands out here.
Watch the soldiers.
Like, it's very clear that's why the size went up from 12 to 53 gigs.
Inside the house. Now.
Whoa. Yes, Papa.
Wait, this is supposed to be a middle-aged setting, and there's an execution happening, and the peasants are like, oh no, you can't watch the execution, little one, you're too young. Bro, they would be cheering. Executions in the Middle Ages were like the one rare thing that the peasantry class actually had to put out their frustrations, okay?
Yeah, this is what you get, I guess, here in 2025. You can't get best of both worlds with Bethesda. You either get one or none, it seems. But unfortunately, though, that's not where the issues stop, because Digital Foundry has outlined an even bigger one. This is the one that a lot of people are saying that this is just unplayable. And there has been some updates. We'll get to that in a sec.
Like the video right now. It takes less than a second, and thank you for everyone who does. It greatly helps out the channel, and it actually matters. It actually matters. For every like you do, 2 new people are probably going to see this video. So thank you. Thank you for everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you think this is important, definitely like the video. It takes less than a second.
Again, it's still a problem.
serious issue. Testing Switch 2 docked this time, and averaging 30 samples from a 240 FPS camera, pressing the X button on a Pro controller to jump takes 293 milliseconds to register an on-screen response. This is using a Dose Spectrum ES07D03 monitor that adds 2.3...
That's honestly insane. Like, again, you just have to understand, this is an online play. This is a single-player adventure game that came out in 2011.
5 milliseconds of its own display latency, which I've subtracted from all results here. Now, jumping in Skyrim has never been especially responsive, even in the best case on PC, but Switch 2's latency here is at such an extreme that controls end up feeling ridiculously floaty and detached from the player's input. Put another way, Switch 2's reading here is worse than most, if not all, cloud streaming services I've tested in my time at Digital Foundry.
Insane.
In comparison, this 293 milliseconds reading adds 90 milliseconds of latency on top of the original Switch 1 version, which comes in at 204 milliseconds in the same test.
By the way, the people play this on the Switch 1, 200 milliseconds. Again, you can literally feel the lag constantly without stop when you're playing this game. That is insane. You need to be deficient to actually play Skyrim on a Switch or Switch 2. This is insanity.
And against the PS5's reading of 118 milliseconds, Switch 2 is visibly behind.
That's totally unacceptable in my opinion, and if this was any other developer, they'd be getting so much hell for it. Because it's Bethesda, it's just kind of shrugged off by the masses. And look, they have released an update. This is something that Digital Foundry...
Bethesda's only saving grace when it comes to this stuff is probably the fact that everyone's just tired, except me, to complain about these things. Everyone just knows. It's like, oh, you bought a Bethesda product. Well, of course it's gonna be garbage.
Foundry themselves acknowledge Skyrim on Switch 2 has been patched to improve input lag, and the latency numbers have improved. However, unlocking frame rate to do so is problematic, and they released the footage. This is their updated little test version. As you can see, that's still really fucking bad. Yeah, they slow it down here, 5% speed. But that does make a difference in a single-player experience like this. They go in depth in this little article. This is what they showed. Again, thanks to the unlocked frame rate, we can also now measure a maximum 60 FPS frame rate for the Switch 2 port, which we can reach by aiming our viewpoint towards the ceiling of a dungeon like Helgen Keep with no other geometric detail on screen. Nice. The only way you can get 60 FPS with this unlocked frame rate. This is a rarity in our current testing thus far, with most normal gameplay reaching nowhere near the game's V-synced 60 FPS refresh rate. We've yet to measure noticeable frame rate dips beneath 30 FPS. I guess that's the one benefit from this. I guess if we're trying to find any positive, and that's really not even that much of one, especially with a game here in 2025 that released all...
Nothing is saving Bethesda. It's just getting worse and worse literally by the day. By the hour, honestly. There is no hope for Bethesda. There is no hope for for the next the Elder Scrolls. There's no hope for the Fallout TV show. Again, the Fallout TV show failed. I'm gonna probably make fun of it a little bit more later on in a couple of days or something like that, because it is hilarious. And again, I exactly predicted that this will happen. I told you this would happen. The tourists are gone, so no one is watching the Fallout TV show. There's like a 95% drop rate in the audience numbers. It is crazy.
All those years ago, and direct glances at complex scenery measures very close to 30, albeit with jumpy frame time spike.
You can't actually... There's like 2 accounts currently on Twitter saying that the Fallout TV show is good. And they're getting wrecked every single comment section about every post that they are doing, because they're just lying. They're just making stuff up. It's actually pathetic.
So more negatives, pretty much, even with the update that they released since then. And yes, they show the footage of them aiming in the sky, 45 FPS, and then the Helgen Keep 60. Yeah, that's the only way you're getting 60. Any other situation, you're getting much lower than that. And they also show, and here it is, yeah, you can see them. They're just interacting in the open world near Whiterun, it seems right here. 32 frames, another one, they're just out in the environment. There's not much going on, it seems. 34... 30.
So this means it dips hard when actually stuff is happening.
34 once an action scene happens. So pretty much they unlocked it, but you're still getting roughly 30 to 34 frames per second. Nowhere near the 60 that you should be expecting with a game, again, that released so many years ago. That is modern Bethesda game studios, and I don't care what people say about Bethesda's reputation, it doesn't matter. This is unacceptable, and it should be something that's met to uproar and anger, no matter the developer. But unfortunately, this is not where the issues stop, because it continues, because Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, that also had a massive launch just a couple weeks ago, and was also another massive disaster. And we talked about this on the channel. We talked about how much of a mess it was and how angry so much of the Fallout community was with the update. We also had Bethesda releasing a roadmap. Yes, you heard me right. We talked about this in a separate video.
Good companies release roadmaps to get people excited. Bad companies release roadmaps so the people left playing are like, oh, after 5 years there's gonna be an update. Roadmaps are just horrible. If you made a shit game, don't release a roadmap. People are just gonna make fun of you.
A fucking roadmap outlining patches to come that were going to fix the experience. It wasn't one patch, it wasn't two, it was like 3 or 4 different ones. And now, unfortunately, we're getting towards the end of these patch updates, and problems have emerged because Fallout's latest delay upsets gamers. Bethesda called out. And if you didn't know, Bethesda had to delay some of the December update because I'm guessing...
By the way, it's crazy how much good grades Bethesda honestly had, and how they have destroyed all of it. Starfield killed any hopes for the Elder Scrolls 6 being good. Unironically, like, Starfield was a massive point where people just opened their eyes and understood, wow, this company is bad. And Starfield in itself is like one of the probably greatest disasters in gaming history. On scale, we honestly don't have anything worse. Maybe if GTA 6 comes out and it's complete dog water, then it's gonna be worse. But Starfield had like 33 million players or something like that, like that when it launched. It was a massive number. It was massive in general, and they squandered all of it. All of it. All of it was squandered. Now, if you look at Starfield, no one's playing it. It's the lowest played Bethesda game ever. It is insane. Maybe Redfall was worse. And yes, Redfall is a Bethesda game, because we had Todd Howard literally say that Bethesda was in charge of every decision made for Redfall. Nothing went through without Bethesda giving their go-ahead. So, Redfall is another Bethesda game that was absolute garbage. But people did not know that that was a Bethesda game. It was by some other Austin, Texas studio. But in any case, there is no hope. Because the Starfield's expansion, that was free for 95% of the population. You see the graph go like this. It just drops. And then there's the expansion on here, and it's like here, and there's like this small bump, and that's it. You can't see anything else. It is insane. Like, nothing can save Bethesda. No one has any belief left in Bethesda.
Problems still are persisting behind the scenes in terms of their testing. So
Bethesda, unironically, probably has lost 99% of its fan base. When the Fallout TV show first came out, whenever I did some negative review of it, it had like a 50% dislike ratio, which is massive. Okay, typically the worst dislike ratios for hot take videos are like 10% on this channel, and the average is like 5-ish%, 4, 3, maybe sometimes 6, if the take was extra spicy. But it's never anything close to 50. It can't be, and all of those videos got 50% dislikes. And now I'm just talking about the Fallout TV show being garbage that destroys the Fallout universe, that literally kills my boy, Mr. House, and everything related to it. And 11% dislike ratio, I think that video got. The tourists are gone, and the fans don't exist. Bethesda has truly lost roughly 90% of everything that they had. of their audience, of their fans, of people's tolerance, of everything. Bethesda's just dead. It's just really dead.
They have their Fallout 4 December patch now available, and they outline certain things like big features like the 100 gigabytes that's going to be added to the creations that's just going to have to take a pause to sometime early on next year. And the Fallout community, though, is just at the point where stop updating the fucking game. You're breaking so many mods, Bethesda. But yes, as you can see, Bethesda doesn't seem to care about themselves, their integrity, or us as customers anymore. Another person, oh, for F's sake, not again. So 95% about the creation story, again, disappointing. So no actual fixes for the game itself, just the microtransaction store, WTF. Deport Todd Howard to Guantanamo prison. Oh, God. I'm uninstalling Fallout 4 because I'm not going to wait months just to use my mods because y'all can't stop updating. Yet another update that introduces more bugs and break mods. Impressive work, congrats. And yes, if you actually look at the Fallout 4 Steam page, the last recent reviews had 2,800, only 52% are positive. That's not good. And if you look down, if you really just put into perspective the last month or so, this is really bad. This just shows you how Bethesda, their reputation of updating their experiences is as bad as it gets, and it only worsens with what they've been doing, the treatment that they've been giving these experiences the last number of months. Like you can compare it to other developers like CD Projekt Red. When they update Cyberpunk 2077 or The Witcher 3, they make it worth it. Bethesda, with Fallout 4 especially, with the Anniversary Edition, all they added was more microtransactions. That's all they did, and in the eyes of customers, that is just a slap in their face. And this is why the recent reviews, Bethesda, please stop releasing updates for 10-plus-year-old games, just breaking mods and frustrating players at this point. Thanks for breaking 10 years of community mods.
Yeah, as someone commented in one video, Bethesda is so incompetent, they can't even leave their games alone, so competent people fix them for them. They don't have to do anything. They can just leave it, and someone else will fix it for them for no cost. And yet Bethesda is here like, oh, let's just break everything again. And it's not working out.
Very cool, Bethesda. I like this game, but they make it just not work. My favorite DLC is Impossible Without Commands now, F Bethesda.
Nice.
And it goes on and on. Even some of the positive ones are calling out Bethesda for their treatment of this game. And on Reddit, though, we have more people upset. This is what I was talking about. The 100 gigabyte storage delayed into the new year. This was the massive, this is really the only significant thing that they added with the Anniversary Edition. This was something that they announced was going to be happening afterwards, and a lot of people are like, okay, that's a good thing. At the very least, it's coming. And Bethesda can't even get that fucking out on time. This is just embarrassing. It really is. And yeah, no estimated time of arrival aside from the new year. See you in fucking June or July, maybe, at the very least. This company is not very good about keeping to their promises with time, especially. And there's other people, 100 gigabyte update delay, but what did this 1.42 update do? And as many people said, there's just nothing. They added this massive update, there's nothing here. And especially PlayStation gamers, they're running into other technical issues. No mention, zero fix for the no DLC.
To be fair, I mean, you're combining bad with worse. You're combining PlayStation with Bethesda. And then you're wondering, why does my PlayStation not work? Oh, yeah, it's just, how did you expect it to work?
DLC bug for PlayStation 4, PS5, woo. 3 patches and still no fix, 14 gigabytes of patches. The DLC issue is actually ridiculous. This should be a #1 priority for them. It's quite impressive how Bethesda managed to break a 10-year-old game, which you could say that about a number of titles, because that's what this company is known for. And I just love that in recent interviews, you have Todd Howard saying he knows fans are disappointed over the lack of Fallout 5, but that's why Bethesda is supporting their older titles. This is how they're treating their older titles.
Based on making everyone hate Bethesda even more.
This is how they're rewarding gamers. I feel like this developer just so fucking out of touch, and they just, it's either incompetency or they just clearly.
Bethesda is so out of touch, they prove that Blizzard people are real.
There's a massive disconnect. Maybe it's both, honestly. I just don't understand the mentality going on behind the scenes, that they launch these little updates, these patches, and it just seems like they don't give their QA team or we are the QA team. What am I saying? We are the...
Todd Howard is so incompetent, he probably failed even to get on Epstein's island.
beta testers, and it's like a reputation that they should have shaken a long time ago, years ago, but here we are, still doing it, and we're probably going to be doing it in a couple months whenever Starfield's new DLC launches. But yes, Todd Howard is going on his marketing tour right now for the Fallout TV show, because that's what Bethesda is concentrating on. Todd Howard says he's super lucky to be working on
I mean, it's just a massive failure, right?
multiple games alongside
Also, what the hell is this? This looks like a video I should be watching.
Fallout Season 2. This is something he said in a recent interview with VGC. He teased a little.
Boys. We need to find that.
Bit, as you can hear here.
And I'll go make games and stuff, and then I think I'm super lucky and blessed that I get to touch so many things and work with so many amazing creative teams, both internal at Bethesda and now with like the group at Kilter Films and Jonah and Athena and Graham and Geneva, everybody there.
Oh wow, this is 3 weeks old. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna see if it's worth reacting to anyway.
And so I just feel lucky, right? The times that I get to work on the TV show, it's like, this is amazing. And then I go back to...
That is a lie. Todd Howard was adamantly against the TV show. When Microsoft bought Bethesda, they forced him to do a TV show. And now he's showing how spineless he is by saying, oh, actually, I love the TV show. No, you don't. You hate it.
The game work, and we're obviously doing a bunch of games in
The
different
only thing he likes about the TV show is the chance to destroy Fallout New Vegas.
things. And so I just like... Yeah, I can't describe the feeling of like a day when you're sitting in a creative meeting and I leave it and I'm just like, I cannot wait to see this or play this or, you know, just, you know, I love all of it, right?
Can't wait to see or play this. The guy literally removed his name from Starfield because of how much of a disaster it was. Starfield is the only Bethesda game where Todd Howard's name is no longer plastered all over it.
So
I'm glad that Todd loves all this, but for us, it's just so frustrating. Like, I get it. It's the long waits is one thing, but it's also the fact that they come out and there's just so many fucking problems with it. And I remember years ago...
Dude, Todd Howard is lying here. Again, look at this. He's holding his hand like that. He is worried. Because he's worried about the TV show. He is worried about everything collapsing about this. He is not answering these questions because he actually likes it. He's lying, and he's afraid if people are going to call him out on his lies. That's self-soothing behavior.
Bethesda executive, I think it was Pete Hines before he left the company, with Starfield, he just kind of said, like, this is the part of the charm. It's not part of the charm. It's part of the frustration with this developer. And unfortunately, they've looked at some of the remarks people made years ago, and they just kind of feel like it's a badge of honor, and that's not what it is. Everybody has disdain for this mentality, and it only has continued, and it really does feel like they're spitting in the face of consumers with every time that they release one of these buggy, broken disaster of launches, and it happens so often. And yes, most of the gaming community, unfortunately, is normalized to this behavior. But yes, right now Todd is all about the Fallout universe, marketing the TV show. He's been asked a couple times about Fallout 5, the game probably coming after the Elder Scrolls 6. He said Fallout 5 will be existing in a world where the stories and events of the show happened or are happening. So yes, a lot of this is something that we all kind of already knew, but the Fallout TV show is probably going to set up a couple of plot lines, maybe where factions are by the time Fallout 5 comes about, which right now I still theorize is probably going to take place somewhere around San Francisco. At least that's what I think Bethesda has been teasing at. And he was asked about this to IGN and another little...
When are we getting Fallout 5?
all right, I thought this would be the best time to unveil it.
Oh my god,
now. Yeah. I'm currently replaying.
You're going to be waiting until 2035 until Fallout 5 comes about, and I bet you we're probably going to be waiting in between that time right now for Fallout 3 Remastered, Fallout New Vegas Remastered, and
Todd's going to do everything he can so New Vegas doesn't get remastered.
the headaches that will come with those launches. You just know it's inevitable. It's going to be a messy disaster, and a lot of that has to do with their ancient hardware that they're still running these games on, and that's just not something that's going to change anytime soon with Bethesda. And I've heard
there is a bunch of people who think that all of Bethesda's problems are because the creation engine is ass. Yeah, I don't think so. Obviously. I think it's just sheer incompetence and that's it. Simple. Don't blame the engine. Fallout 3, New Vegas, and all of those things were good. Had the creation engine. Still holds up to even to this day, by the way. So don't blame the creation engine in the fact that, you know, Bethesda is incompetent.
The theories about Todd Howard, like, he doesn't deserve any of the blame. He's doing the best.
Now, granted, the engine is pretty bad, obviously. It's outdated, it's really bad. Starfield is not an upgrade. But still, people will play pixel games as long as they're good.
He can, but I think Todd Howard really reminds me of George R.R. Martin, just in the fact that he doesn't want to concentrate on his main thing. He just has his hands in so many different pots, and I think it is hurting.
George R.R. Martin doesn't want to concentrate on the main things because he knows he will never be able to actually write that ending, because he is an old vapid loser who thinks that good is bad and that the good guys should lose because the world is a dull, dreary place with nothing good about it. So he has no idea how to write the ending. So he just gave up.
The overall products. But at the same time, I don't know if you can make a comparison between George R.R. Martin and Todd Howard, just because I think Todd Howard's yes man mentality over Bethesda Game Studios has caused serious damage to Bethesda's image. The fact that they keep remaking Skyrim has been to, I think that really has hurt this developer, especially in their games that have come about afterwards, like Fallout 4 and Starfield. But yeah, so this is what I mean. Some people saying the narrative online that Todd Howard is the main problem at why Bethesda games aren't as good as they used to be. And he brought up a point that Will Shen, the lead quest designer on Starfield, barely interacted with Todd throughout its entire development. That should give you an idea on how hands-off Todd is now. That's not a good thing. That is not, especially because Todd is the yes man. We've heard that in interviews, that we heard this in a big expose with Fallout 76. He is the yes man. Everything he says, he has yes man behind him. And if he's that hands-off, that kind of maybe that explains a little bit over the design issues that we've had with these newer Bethesda experiences.
I hope that Todd gets fired. Again, I have said this before, but point still stands. Microsoft is looking at their game investments with Blizzard and Bethesda and being like, wow, this is really bad. We are not getting anything. Call of Duty is a flop. Starfield was an $8 billion purchase that got us nothing. And Todd Howard, everyone's making fun of them and there's nothing. Todd Howard is the face of Bethesda, and that gives him power to not be fired. But the reality is, at this rate, disaster after disaster, literally like 5 massive disasters or something like that in a row. Microsoft is definitely thinking about, can we just fire Todd Howard? I mean, at this point, he's never going to do anything good. He's only damaging the brand. We could just get rid of him. They have to be thinking this. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of the video. That was legendary. That was a Legacy Kill HD. 10 out of 10. Bye.